Hello friends, welcome back. So I hope you've seen the first introductory video which gave you an overview about what we're going to be doing. I hope you've also seen the second video which was about self-management during these times of lockdown. This session, today's video, is going to focus on managing work from home, WFH. Oh boy. Does it seem to you that if this continues for some time, you actually might get my own hairstyle by pulling out all your own hair? Does it seem like that to you? Oh, come on. It's actually easy if you start doing something. Now, one is, if you remember the learnings from the self-management video, you need to start using those. That's step number one. Building onto that is something that has been spoken about a lot. People have been talking about it everywhere. It's called emotional intelligence. So today, let me start this session by helping us relook at what this emotional intelligence is really all about. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, what does it really mean? It means one, do I understand, am I aware of the kind of emotions that are going on inside me from time to time? Am I able to understand and recognize them well in time? Now, if you don't understand and recognize them, how can you deal with those emotions? So the first step is to be constantly aware of what emotion is going on through you. If it is positive, that's fantastic. If it's any kind of negative, anger, frustration, irritation, sadness, tension, worry, etc., immediately use the learnings from the last video, which was on self-management, and start working on that emotion. Two is self-management. Now I understand my emotions. How do I manage my own emotions? So you have to do a lot of work on helping you learn how to manage your own emotions from time to time, again and again. If you're able to do that, then only can you move to the next step. So how do you manage your emotions? Once you've recognized them, now look at which emotion can help you. How can it help you? Look at it as if you're an outsider and look at that person out there. He's feeling angry or she is feeling angry. Now, what are they angry about? What could be going on? So how differently can they tackle it in a manner where their outcome can be achieved? What they want can be achieved without the anger. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So use this tool, the stepping out tool, to relook at your own situation and look at how else can you productively handle that emotion and get what you want because of which you're feeling that emotion. The third part of emotional intelligence is something which we normally talk about as empathy or being in somebody else's shoes. Easy to say and difficult to do, isn't it? So when your spouse or the child who's been pestering you a lot, etc., come in and do whatever they do to make you angry or irritated or. Now the next step, if you remember the first step, which was to relook at yourself, now actually imagine you in their place. And now look at this situation. And now look at what could your expectations be. In their place. In their place. In their place. The biggest problem that people do is, even when they pretend to go into the other person's shoes, they actually think about it from their own perspective. So when you have entered their place, you think about it from their perspective. What could be the reasons for them behaving like that? What could they possibly want because of which they are exhibiting that behavior? When you do that, you will truly have empathy. And when you have empathy, then the next part, which comprises emotional intelligence, or the next dimension of emotional intelligence, is to be able to build that bond with them, with this entire understanding, and create a strong relationship. It's only when you have done these three things earlier that you can start working on building that relationship. So how do you build that relationship? One, by talking to them about whatever is bothering you, calmly, coolly, by looking at what they could possibly want, by looking at how could both objectives be achieved at the same time. That's what builds up relationships, doesn't it? And now, as a result of all of these, the fifth dimension which emerges as a kind of combination foundation of all of them is how do you motivate yourself first? Because if you don't motivate yourself, how will you be able to build relationships? How will you be able to work towards what you want? And then to be able to motivate your family members, your work colleagues, your bosses even sometimes, your juniors, your peers, everybody. So motivating yourself is the first part, and then motivating others is the next part. So in a nutshell, this is what emotional intelligence is all about. And if you start doing this, it will start becoming easier for you to manage work from home. Are we together? Is this making sense? Yes? If not, ask me a question in the comments later, or you can even Google emotional intelligence, and there's a lot of information out there. And whatever doubts you have, just ask in the comment section down there in the video below, and I will answer all of them. A lot of people ask me, so how do I motivate myself? How do I motivate other people? Now I'll come back to that if you haven't found the answer in the next part that I'm going to cover. Have you ever heard about this book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey? Yes? Maybe yes, maybe no. If you have, fantastic. Have you read it? If you have, again, fantastic. If you have not read it, or if you have yet to hear of it, then here are the basic 7 habits that Stephen Covey found that highly effective people use. Stephen Covey did a lot of research into people who are highly effective. And from his research, he found that there are 7 habits that are common, all of them. And that's what made his book. Now, within the 7 habits, the first habit, as he says, is be proactive. Yes, do things by yourself first. Now, in the world of NLP, we talk about being at cause, taking up responsibility for changing. Why? Because if you don't take the responsibility for your change, if you don't take the responsibility for making your life better, who will? Nobody else can take the responsibility for you. So be the cause of everything that's happening in your life. Be at cause instead of saying, this happened in my life because of that, because of that, because of that. You look at what can you do. What can you do? And be proactive in doing it into making the change that you want to happen in your life. Be proactive. Number 1. Once you're proactive, the second part, the second habit, as he says, is start. Start always with the end in mind, or begin with the end in mind. In the world of NLP, we look at outcome focus. We say the first thing that you should do, the number 1 thing that you should do when you are about to embark on any task is what is the end objective that you want. That's your outcome. So if your outcome is not clear, then you may go astray here and there and somewhere. And you may wonder what happened, where am I? So always start with what do you want at the end of this. Maybe it's a 5-minute thing, maybe it's a 10-minute thing, maybe it's a 1-hour thing, maybe it's a 1-day thing. What is it that you want from this 5 minutes or 1 hour or 1 day? What do you want from it? That's the outcome. Start with the end in mind. That's habit number 2. Now you know what you want, etc., etc., etc. Now it's time to move on to the third part, which is put first things first. So habit number 3, put first things first. What does that mean? So Stephen Covey says, look, there are so many things that you do. There are 10 different things that you do in a day. And there are 10 different results that you are expecting in a day. And he says research has shown that out of these 10 things that you have to do, about 80% of them are going to lead you only to 20% of the overall results. And there are 20% things out of the things that you are doing which are going to give you the 80% of expected results. So what does that mean? My dear friends, think about it. The one biggest thing in which you, me, all of us are equal is the amount of time that we have on our hands. Not literally, figuratively. Each of us has 24 hours. And now you know what? The best part is that today, because you're working from home, for most of you in larger cities, anywhere between 2 to 4 hours of your travel time has been saved. If you're living in smaller towns or villages, even then, anywhere between a total from home to your place of work and back again, anywhere from a total of an hour to 2 hours hours is saved for you. That's time that you have extra right now, because earlier that would go in commuting. How are you using the amount of time that you have available? Have you looked at what are the most important things to do? Now, if you've looked at what are the most important things that are going to give you long-term results, I am stressed by working. Let me go on to Netflix. Uh-oh. Once you've logged on to Netflix, you've spent about anywhere between half an hour to an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours getting caught up in something which keeps you gripped. That's the way these things are designed, people. They are designed to keep you gripped. Now, by doing that, you've lost valuable time which you could have done, which you could have utilized in doing something important. So, a lot of time wasters like that, which seem urgent. Yeah, taking a break is a good thing. That makes you more productive. How long? Now, to help you master your usage of time, Stephen Covey suggests what is called as a timetable, in simple words, in your and my words. So just like we had a timetable in school days where there was this hour, this subject, this hour, this subject. But remember, there was a recess in between. There was a break in between. Also remember, every week there were some free periods in between. Yeah. Now these free periods could be taken up by some teacher whose portion was lagging behind, so on and so forth. How do we utilize the same timetable concept in our work life? So you know what time you wake up, you know what time you go to sleep. If you want to manage your work better, you define from what time to what time are you going to be doing what, and in that time period only and only do that. Keep away all the distractions like cell phones, Facebooks, Twitters, etc. Mute your phone, even remove it of vibration. In the time allotted, whether the time is for phone calls or for emails or for spreadsheets or for, doesn't matter. Allot a time to everything throughout the day. Does that mean the first hour of the day you'll schedule phone calls and then throughout the day you do no phone calls? Not necessary. You know how much you need in your business. So maybe you have 3 phone calling slots in a day. Perfectly alright. Perfectly fine. Maybe you have 2 in a day. Maybe you have 4 in a day. Doesn't matter. What we are saying is, during that time, you will only and only make phone calls. Leave aside all other emails. If on a phone call somebody tells you, please send me this email, what a lot of us do is we immediately, after we finish the call, we get to the computer. Let me send that email. Let me send that email. And by doing this, I'm distracting myself. Instead, take a small pad, a pen and paper, and jot down, okay, this email has to be sent. And in the emailing slot in your timetable, that's when you start sending all those emails. If you start scheduling your time accordingly, my friends, you will find you're able to make a lot more in the given time than you are about to do right now. See, a Harvard study says more than 30 to 40% of your time is wasted because of distractions, because of shifting from one thing to another continuously. It's just wasted, isn't it? And it's in your hands. You have to take up the responsibility for doing something about it. That ways, you can spend your work time far more productively, get more done, and you can have breaks also to rejuvenate, to refresh yourself. Yeah. Now, once you've started doing all of this, remember the most important thing is how do you use that extra time that you have gained? Yeah. Remember the travel time? Yeah, that's the extra time that you have gained. How do you use that extra time that you have gained in order to make the best for your family as well as make the best for yourself? So we're going to talk more about that in tomorrow's video and in the day after tomorrow's video, where tomorrow's video will focus on family at home and day after tomorrow's video will focus on self-growth. So we're going to talk about that in those videos. For now, moving onwards, you've done all this, you've started with a specific outcome, you've put your first things first, you've scheduled your priorities. Now you have to think win-win. How do you think win-win? In terms of what are the different things my team members want? whether team member is a colleague, is a boss, whoever they are. What do they want? What do I want? So how can we work together into making it happen, where I can contribute to them to getting what they want and they can contribute to me getting what I want. Win-win is the most misused word across the globe today. People just say work win-win. I always look at win-win. And when it comes to doing things, we either sacrifice ourselves for the other, or we end up only focusing on how to win ourselves, or we look for some kind of compromise. Come on folks, that's not real win-win. Win-win is where you get what you want, where I get what I want. So how can you start working on that with everyone? With your peers, with your juniors, with your bosses, with everyone involved. When you start doing that, then the next part you think about is to, in order to create a win-win, first you have to really understand deep down what they want. If you're able to figure out what they want, then only will you be able to create a win-win. And to figure out what they want, what's far more important is for you to understand them. So Stephen Covey says that the next habit, which is far more important, is seek first to understand and then to be understood. Which means when you are listening to them on a call, in person, whenever, listen carefully. Understand what they mean by what they are saying. What could be their intention, so on and so forth. So understand them completely. Ask questions to understand them better. A lot of times, unfortunately, when we are listening to something or when we are reading an email, we are already thinking of how do I reply. As long as you do that, my friends, it's going to be difficult. So listen, read carefully, ask questions in order to understand better. And then you can convey what you want to say. And because you've taken the effort to understand them, they will also take up the effort to understand you. Once you've done that, now the key is how do you put it all together? How do you and them? Have you heard this saying? 1 and 1 makes 11, right? So how's 1 and 1 11? Mathematics says 1 and 1 is 2. Now this is the next habit, which is synergize. So habit number 6 is synergize, which means how can I use my strengths? How can they use their strengths? How can I use my strengths to work for them and protect their back and their weaknesses? How can they use their strengths to protect my back and my weaknesses? And how can both our strengths combine and become together? So instead of 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, it becomes 1 plus 1 is equal to 11. And that's the key, my friends. That's very strongly required, especially today. Because of this lockdown, so many things have gone for a toss. So unless we synergize, there's no way in which you are going to be successful, no way in which your colleagues are going to be successful, and no way in which your company is going to be successful. Which means, given the economic stuff that is already going on, the economic downturn that has already started, when finally this lockdown ends and we start working from office, everything is already going to start on a very low note. So synergize already, my friends, so that when you get back to work in physicality, you'll find that all of you together are able to pick up far faster. The last habit, my friends, that Stephen Covey talks about is sharpening your saw. Sharpening your saw. What does that mean? So let me tell you a story. So there was this young chap, very strong. He used to work the fields and so on. And somehow, because of his father's habits, they lost all their lands. So he could not work his fields anymore. And soon they had no money left. So this boy thought and thought and thought. He's quite young and strong. What can I do? What can I do? So he went to this local timber yard and said, look, I can cut trees quite easily. Give me a saw and I will cut more than any person here. The owner just smiled at him and said, okay, let's see what he can do. So this guy goes, you know what? He cuts more trees than anyone ever there has ever cut before in the history of the business. Wow, that's something, isn't it? And this lad is quite happy, the owner is quite happy, the owner says, well done lad, well done. The next day the lad comes back again, and with all vigor and with complete confidence sets out for work. And he starts cutting his trees using saws. And he finds at the end of the day, he's managed to cut one tree less than yesterday. But he's still okay, because you know what? He still cut more than other people. So he's still happy. And so on and so forth. And day by day, slowly, the number of trees he's able to cut keeps on going down. You've heard this story, haven't you? So finally, this guy, completely aghast, goes back to the owner of the timber yard and says, look, I'm doing my best, I'm putting all my effort, but then what can I do? Are you wondering the same thing? What he was wondering? What can I do? Keep wondering. And quite a few of you may already know the answer. Some of you may not if you have yet to hear this story. So this owner told him, look at that old man out there. You know what? He may not cut as many trees as you did the first day. But today, he's cutting far more than you are. So why don't you go to that old man and talk to him and tell him your problem? Said the owner with a very small smile on his face. So this young lad went to that old guy and said, I'm amazed. You're much older to me. You're so old. And today, you're cutting many more trees than I am. How is that possible? I know I have more strength than you. I give all my best. But I'm cutting so less trees now. But you're cutting more than me. How can that be? The old man simply smiles and he says, Sonny, have you seen me when I come to work? The young lad says, yes, I have seen you. And you just while away your time in the beginning, just sitting around. He said, the old man says, have you ever actually seen what I do when I'm just sitting around? The young man says, you're playing about with your saw. The old man says, son, what you call as playing about with the saw is when I'm actually sharpening my saw. So that when I go out there to cut trees, my saw is so sharp that it can quickly slice through a tree. So if you spend time sharpening your saw all the time every day, my dear son, you will end up getting much better results with the kind of effort that you're putting in. So my friends, always sharpen your saw. In this time, look at ways of sharpening your saws. And we'll talk about this in the third video from now, which is about growth management, self-growth management. We'll talk more about this. But these are, in short, in a capsule, the 7 habits of highly effective people. So if you're able to slot time for different kinds of work, and because you're now working from home, in your schedule, you can slot time for your family as well. Meals together, tea breaks together, other times when they can come and talk to you about sundry things. For example, if there are older people in the house, because you're in the house, they want to talk to you. So you might want to schedule a slot, say half an hour, 45 minutes for them, so that you can sit together with them and chit-chat about things. And we'll talk more about this in tomorrow's video, which is going to be about family at home. So dear friends, you can do a lot more search on emotional intelligence and on the 7 habits by Stephen Covey and start utilizing these in your life to make your work from home far better. Can anybody else do it for you? If you're expecting someone else to come and do it for you, my friends, you will remain where you are. And this lockdown will further lock you inside a very negative spiral. So take up that responsibility, be proactive, and start using all of this. If you have any questions, remember, ask down in the comments below and I will answer all your questions. Also, do remember to like and subscribe to this channel by pressing on that bell. Yeah? Wish you all the best. Have a fantastic time working from home and produce great results. Thank you.